Ladies and gentlemen, K-Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you guys had a good day trading today. Market is down slightly here, about 0.4% on the S&P. We did see the banks, the financial sector, XLF got hit, down 2%. Small caps, the Russell 2000, down about 2% also. However, the NASDAQ is flat today, and the semiconductor is up 1%. Everything else down about 0.5, 0.7, 0.8, 1% or something like that. So across the board, it's a slightly down day. We did see the small caps and the banks did get hit today, about 2% down day. So let's try to figure out what we can expect going into the remainder of this week here in today's analysis. Today is going to be the last day of trading for the month of November. So it'll be interesting to see some of the, to check out in your leisure time to look out some of those monthly charts on the indices, kind of get a better grasp on the overall market and just see how they close and the sentiment is long-term. Sentiment of this market. Obviously, when you analyze a monthly, you want to make sure that obviously when you're looking at monthly in the intra-month, during the month, throughout the month, there will be a lot of fluctuations. But if you understand kind of where the market is headed in the long term, then you can kind of able to see, and whatever happens intra-month, you can able to adjust your portfolio accordingly. So anyway, so let's check out the today's market action here. So it looks like this is where it closed on Friday, right? We had a half day on Friday, so that's where it closed. And then we gapped down on the first hour. It looks like we did see that sell-up continued in the first hour. We continued to see weakness in the market on the second hour. It is no coincidence we found support there, right? This is the gap area. Once I zoom out, you'll see it later. And that's where it closed. You can see that though we did see that volatility on the second hour, dip buyers came in, brought up the price, making sure the price closed above 360, which is the same level as there, right? From then on, we did see some confidence building for the buyers. We saw third hour push to the upside. Looks like a bullish engulfing candle there. And that's a fourth hour, right? Little bit of continuation. Fourth hour, we paused for a little bit, right? Buyers made us a move, resting. And then sixth hour, it looks like we did see, at one point, we did see much more strength. But I was watching last 10 minutes or so. I remember there's a lot of fluctuation. This thing actually came all the way back down and then got all the way back up here in the last couple minutes or so. So we're kind of right on that, short-term moving average there. Kind of like we're, looks like my short-term moving average is kind of moving sideways. So I think looking at things a micro term, we do see some of that strength going into tomorrow. Looking at things a short term, when I say short term, I mean this. Looking at things short term, I want to give it a little bit more neutral stance, and I kind of want to move this up here actually, just kind of so that it's accommodating this vicinity here. Also, that's the level where we see that my short term moving average is residing at this point. So again, micro term, talking about just today's price action, I think we have some bullish momentum built here in the short term. I want to categorize this market. I want to label this market short term, right? Just looking at the last several days here, neutral. If we were to close somewhere near in this vicinity, not up here where the more my short term moving average is, but let's say we close below here, I would be more bearish. But I think with that closing right in that vicinity right here, that resistance and also my short-term moving average there, I want to give it neutral because this is a level that buyers want to crack, right? If we start falling back down tomorrow, things could get hectic for the buyers. What buyers want to do, gap up will be the best case scenario, but got up here and fill this gap as quickly as possible. If not, things will get hectic. And I will explain to you why as I zoom out to the midterm here. So here, this is a midterm chart right here, looking at things last month or two, about a month or so, price action here. So you can see that similar thing happened. You know, let me zoom in a little bit and I'll zoom out later. So you can see similar thing that kind of occurred here. You see this gap down right here, right? There was a gap down that wasn't filled for longest time. We did see that hammer-like candle there. We did see that buyers brought it up. This gap was never filled. And then we did see that downturn and things did get hectic for 1 week or 2 weeks or so. And this is what we talked about. If you go back and check my analysis back in November 17th, November 18th, November 16th, we've been talking about this gap needs to be filled. If it doesn't, things are going to be hectic for the buyers, right? And there are a lot of attempt here, but just never able to fill this gap. The buyers were not able to fill the gap. So now we have a very, very similar price action where we see this gap down, and I'm gonna say the same exact thing here. Buyers gotta get up here and fill this gap as quickly as possible. If this down gap doesn't get filled quickly, this thing is gonna come back down, trying to challenge this gap once again. And if we fall here again, there's a good chance bears might even fill this gap. And there's a strong support. Let's zoom out here in the midterm. So you will see that will be a strong support because we see that rising pivot. My midterm moving average hanging around in that vicinity, guarding that gap area. So we got the gap support right here, right? 360 and 357. Right? We got that rising pivot right there. We got that midterm moving average right there. So 360, 357 is going to be a strong, solid support. If buyers cannot fill this gap as quickly as possible, I can see that bears going to come back down, retest 360. If we crack 360 to the downside, bears going to come down and fill this gap. And at that time, we're probably going to see a strong support, something like that, because that has been that support here. You can see every time we hit this level, market likes to bounce. It has a very strong resume in the last 1 month, every single time. So we want to give some weight to this, but for now, we're not there yet, right? So that's why I'm giving it neutral in the short term, because we're just right on that resistance here, prior support, potentially new resistance. We're just right beneath that gap area. Also, we have my short-term moving average just hanging around in that vicinity. So we start, like if the buyer starts stalling here tomorrow, first 2 hours, not able to get above 362, it's going to come back down. So it will be important to see how the market behaves tomorrow, first 2 hours. What you want to see is buyers getting up first 2 hours and filling this gap, right? And then once this gap gets filled, we will see that level acting as resistance. This thing will come back down. That will be better, because then buyers can recoup and then get it back up here. I don't know if it's going to come all the way back down to 360 once the gap gets filled, or it's going to come down to 362 and get up, but it'll be better for the buyers filling this gap. Obviously, the best case scenario is gapping up above it, turned it into an island bottom, and that will be like what? It's very much doable, 0.6% gap up. If we just gap it up, you can really expedite the process of not even worrying about this gap, not even worrying about that becoming a resistance, pulling back a couple days, hanging around, and then getting back up, right? If we gap up, then we can continue higher. So gapping up about 0.6, 0.5% would be the best case scenario where, buyers can really expedite this, this process to continue move higher, because currently this resistance is going to give them some hard time. So tomorrow, obviously, we'll figure it out how the market is behaving. Let's check out that oscillator and see where it's at right now. So you can see that this consolidation, some form, became a bearish divergence here. You can see higher, high, lower, low. With that, price came down, and then oscillators falling back lower. So you can see that we're not oversold at all. It means if bears really want to bring it down, they could. Problem is, they tried this something similar here last time, and prematurely, my oscillator actually bounced. Similar thing happened here. Prematurely oscillated about, well, that one kind of came down to the oversold level though. I mean, this one actually did came down to the oversold level, just right on that line right there. So we've seen that before. But what you can note here, if buyers struggle to get above 362 tomorrow, not able to fill this gap, start struggling beneath that gap area, that means bears going to have energy to bring this thing down continuously tomorrow and maybe in the next, probably tomorrow, right? Probably tomorrow, and then this thing could get down. This is the reason why I'm kind of giving it neutral. It will be important how this market behaves first 2 hours tomorrow. In the midterm, I want to continue to give benefit of the doubt to the buyers in the midterm. We've been faithfully cultivating what? Higher lows. And this is subtle higher high right there. So as long as the market moves in this fashion, in this manner, we want to give benefit of the doubt to the buyers in the midterm. So just to recap everything, micro-term bullish, short-term neutral, mid-term bullish, right? And we're just talking about the 360, 362 area and that gap area. And also we talked about today that bears are not tired at all. They still have energy to move. So question is, are the bears going to bring it down? Or is this going to prematurely kind of cross back up tomorrow, looking something like this, where, bulls can get up here and fill this gap and start making its way up to the upside. So I'll come back for you guys. Enjoy your evening and good luck trading tomorrow.